Welcome to our Roundup overview. So, over the next few slides, we'll talk a little bit about what contests are offered at County Roundup and District Roundup, some different general rules and guidelines for each of those contests, and then just some examples of how to get started and different topics to pick within each of those contests. So, as a quick reminder, all youth must be enrolled in 4 H Online prior to competing by our deadline for entries. If you are not enrolled in 4 H Online at that time, you will not be allowed to compete in our county contest at the end of the month. So, real fast, some deadlines and dates to remember. Our county contest will take place on March 27th at the 4 H building. However, if numbers allow it, we might move it back to the extension office. But as of right now, it'll be at the 4 H building. And as we get closer, I'll give you a for sure location when we get closer to that date. The registration deadline is March 17th on our county webpage. So, again, if you are not enrolled in 4 H Online by March 17th, you will not be allowed to compete at the county roundup on March 27th. For those of you who qualify from the county contest onto district, that contest will take place on April 28th here in San Angelo. Typically, it is out at the Grape Creek Baptist Church, but last year we did split between that and the district office. So as we get closer to that, I will definitely give you a for sure location on that one as well. And the registration deadline for that is April 10th and will take place on 4 H Online. So, district roundup and county roundup are a little different than most of the contests we offer. We will actually offer 3 contests during this day. So, we'll have our educational presentations, our public speaking, and our 4 H talent showcase, which is taking place of our Share the Fun contest. The first contest up is going to be our educational presentations. And so the general rules and guidelines for this is it can be a team event, but it does not have to. So teams can either be individuals or a 2-man team. You have 12 minutes to present whatever topic you select, 9 minutes to set up and tear down any of your visual aids, examples you might have, tools you might bring with you, anything like that. And then obviously visual aids are allowed. So if you're going to create a PowerPoint, which I would highly suggest, I would say create it in either Canva, Microsoft PowerPoint, Google Slides, or something like that, and then pull down the completed product, save it on a USB, and bring that with you the day of contest, as well as any other demonstration items you might need. So for educational presentations, there's 10 categories that your topic can fall into. So that's ag, tech, and farm safety, animal science, beef, health and wellness, horse, open ag and natural resources, open family and consumer education, promote 4-H, and safety and injury prevention. If you aren't 1,000% sure where your topic should fall, please reach out to me and I'll make sure we get it in the correct category. And if you want some descriptions on these specific categories, go visit the Texas 4-H website under the Roundup page, and you'll be able to find each of these categories and exactly what deems a topic for that category. So, where to get started on your educational presentations? First off, find something that interests you, whether it's a hobby, something you've experienced, anything like that. It needs to be a topic that you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about, you're not going to enjoy the research you're going to be doing, putting your presentation together, or working on your speech to go with your presentation. Next, make sure you pick something that is age appropriate. Obviously, there's topics that our high schoolers can talk about that our juniors should not be talking about. So just make sure you're picking something that fits your child's age division. If you're still struggling on finding a topic, if you can't really find a hobby you want to educate people on, something like that, look at some current issues that are happening within society today, or just some specific topics and figure out if there's something there that might fit into one of our educational presentation categories. So the next step is what materials are needed. Are you going to need some demonstration items? Are there tools you can bring with you to further show the points you're making? So think through all of that when you're building your presentation. And then finally, create those main points prior to starting your presentation as to what you want to cover within your 12 minutes of your educational presentation. So I would start with trying to figure out what you're talking about, why it's important, figure out how you can fix the issue, or just offer some different solutions to make something better. So for your educational presentation, this is just a brief overview of what kind of slides you should have within your presentation. So you'll need an intro slide, your body, a summary and conclusion slide, references, and then a Q&A slide. So your presentation outline will go a little bit like this. So you'll start with your introduction slide, and you want to start with an attention grabber. If it's some type of stat that you want to share, if it's a good quote, something like that, grab the audience's attention so you can hold them for the next 12 minutes while you're talking through your topic. Next, you want to introduce yourself. Don't make it to the end of your presentation and them still not know who you are. You also need to introduce your topic, why it's important, and highlight those main points. If at the beginning they don't know what topic you're talking about or why it's even an important topic to you, then you definitely need to reevaluate your presentation and make sure that that is happening within the first slide or two. The next big part or the meat of your presentation will be that body portion. So that's where you're going to talk through your main points, the research you found, how you can fix an issue at hand, or make it better, improve something, whatever your topic is. During this body portion, you need to walk us through the importance, the issue, and how you're going to fix it. So during your presentation, if you're going to have examples in front of you and you're going to kind of show people how to fix a saddle, how to rope something, make sure there's a balance between doing and explaining. You don't want to just do the demonstration and not talk throughout it, but you also don't want to talk too much while doing the demonstration and it just seem awkward. So, with that awkwardness, make sure you're practicing the flow of your presentation. If you are demonstrating something, make sure you practice that while you're practicing your presentation. Do not wait until the day of county contest or district contest to try and work through that, because I can promise you it will be a little awkward. You might stumble and it might mess up the remainder of your presentation. Lastly, and this one's just kind of a general rule for public speaking as a whole, make it yours. Tell your story rather than recite it. We don't want you standing up there just reiterating stuff that you've memorized up until this point. We want to be able to hear the passion about what you're talking about and how it impacts you in your daily life. Your next slide is going to be your conclusion slide. So that's where you're going to review those main points. You're going to review those solutions. Anything major that you talk about in your presentation needs to be on this conclusion slide. This needs to be short and concise. And this is your final sell for whatever issue or topic you're talking about. You want to make sure to leave those judges with the key information that they remember why your presentation was important. The next slide will be your references slide. So you want to list all your sources and use a variety of sources. Make sure you try to use .org, .edu, .gov type sites. If you aren't able to find those sites specific to the topic you're looking for, reach out to me and we can definitely try to see what we can find on our end or give you some examples of some places to look. Obviously, some .com sites are reputable sites, but just double check that prior to using any of their information within your educational presentation. So following your presentation, there will be a chance for some questions and answers period. So the judges will have time to ask questions. Um, so during that time, make sure you're listening to the question. If you don't know what they said, ask them to repeat it. And if you still don't know if you have an answer, repeat the question back to them while you're trying to figure out an answer to that question. Lastly, always answer honestly. If you don't know the answer to the question, don't just say, I don't know the answer. Say something like, I don't know the answer at this time, but I'll definitely do a little bit more research and get back to you. We want to know the stuff that you're answering is factual and not just something you're making up in your head to make it sound like you know what you're talking about. So for public speaking, that's going to be our second contest that we're going to talk about today. And it follows up educational presentation because it's pretty much the same type of contest. The main difference is no visual aids are allowed, and this is a completely individual contest. The time limits for this one are also much different from Ed Prez's. You'll have a minimum of 5 minutes and a maximum of 8 minutes. With Ed Prez's, there's no minimum, just a maximum of that 12. So just pay attention to that if you are going to enter the public speaking contest. So again, your speech needs to be at least 5 minutes, but no longer than 8 minutes. And visual aids are not allowed. No visual aids of any kind are allowed. And as a reminder, you can only participate in either public speaking or educational presentation. You cannot do both of them. So, real fast, some tips for public speaking. This is a lot of what you learned in educational presentation overview will feed into the public speaking portion. So, again, pick a topic that interests you, that you're passionate about. It needs to be something that you are wanting to persuade the audience on, either the pros or the cons side. Um, it should be a topic that is suitable for a platform speech or some type of radio broadcast. And again, as you're working through your research, you need to find a topic, one, that you're passionate about, and two, that it's something that you can take a clear side on and inform the audience as to why one side is better than the other. So when you're forming your speech, again, much like educational presentation, your intro is going to be the first thing. You want to hit the audience with some type of attention grabber and spark interest. If you don't get them within that first 20 seconds, there's a good chance they're not going to really pay attention for the next 8 minutes within your presentation or your speech. In your body, that's going to be your main points plus research plus solutions you might offer. So if we're going with the mental health example, your main topic is mental health and why awareness is important, right? So then you add in all of your research, you find reasons why mental health awareness is important and why we need to do a better job of sharing an awareness for this specific topic. So you'll talk through your research and then maybe some solutions as to how we can be better advocates for mental health awareness. You'll end with a conclusion, which is just going to summarize the main points of your article. And you might even end with some type of um, quote that really ties it all together, whatever you feel is best to tie your speech in a nice little bow. And again, much like EdPreses, you're going to want to use references throughout. Again, use those .org, .gov, .edu type sites to build the research that you are finding on your specific topic. With public speaking, it's a little bit different from educational presentations. The topics are a wide variety, and you can pick just about anything that you are passionate about and not have to worry about it fitting into a category. So, some examples of this could be the future of agriculture, the impacts agriculture has on rural living, or what rural agriculture's impacts um, urban areas, anything like that. So anything that you're passionate about, you can most likely create a speech for it and it'll fall into our public speaking contest. Our last contest that we're going to talk about is our 4-H Talent Showcase. So as I mentioned, this is taking place of our Share the Fun contest. It's the same contest, it's just getting a little bit of a rebranding. So all of the categories are relatively the same, descriptions, all of that is the same. So some general rules about our 4-H Talent Showcase. This is one of our larger team events. So you can have up to 9 members on a team. Could be an individual, but if you had up to 9 friends that want to do a contest with you, this would be the one for you. If you love drama, acting, anything like that, this is the place for you. So you have 6 minutes for your presentation and 4 minutes for setup and teardown. So that 4 minutes is if you have any props, visual aids, anything like that to put onto the stage prior to doing your presentation. So we did have a little bit of change in categories, so we're going to go over the new titles of them real fast and just kind of give you a brief understanding of what each of those categories are. So first up is our 4-H skit, which took place of our Celebrate 4-H category. It's the same process or same understanding, just a different title. So this could be something that is a 4-H based storyline, either promoting 4-H, a project, an activity, anything like that. It can be funny. You can make fun of extension employees of the 4-H program, but you cannot degrade them. So it could be just a fun way of, explaining a 4-H agent's life or explaining the record book process. Anything like that that is kind of promoting the 4-H program would fall into this skit. Our next one is our choreographed routines, which is still the same from previous years. So if your 4-H'er likes to do dance, flags, baton twirling, anything like that, cheering, that is where that those types of activities would fall. Next is our variety show, which took place of our dramedy show. So variety show is something that could be being a magician, acrobatics, juggling, anything like that that doesn't necessarily fit into any of the other 6 categories is where you would fall for this contest. However, if it is something that is incorporating 4-H materials, make sure that it wouldn't fit better within a 4-H skit. Next up, we have our musical and instrumental. So our musical presentation is obviously going to be just musical instruments. It could be accompanied by some background recorded music, but it will be an instrumental performance only. So if you're in band, anything like that, or you play something for church, this is your category that you would fall in. So next is our poetry prose. So if you have a 4-H'er that really loves doing oral reading at school with UIL, this is the perfect place for them. They can use that same poem, enter a poetry prose contest, and be able to compete multiple times with that same piece. So this is not going to incorporate any type of vocal, music, choreographed routine, anything like that. This is strictly doing poetry during the contest. Next, we have our solo and band performance. So if you're a part of a band or anything like that, this is the place for you. So if you are talented in both singing and playing an instrument, feel free to sign up for this contest or this specific category. Then our last one is going to be vocal. So our vocal category is specifically for singing. You can have accompaniments. I don't know how to say that word, struggling with it today. But you can't actually play an instrument and sing at the same time. So you can have background music and sing over that, but you can't have a guitar on you and sing. That means you would be in the solo or band performance. You can add sign language to this presentation, but if you are going to do sign language by itself, that would fall under our choreograph routines contest. So I ran through those really quickly. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. With any questions you might have, other people might have the same questions. So please feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to seeing all of y'all participating in our county roundup as well as district roundup. And thank you for listening.